The glass slips from Eli Monroe's hand at exactly the wrong moment. It does not shatter. It bounces once on the cold marble floor of the East Wing hallway, rolls in a lazy half-circle, and comes to rest against the leg of the antique console table like it has no idea what it just interrupted. Eli does not reach for it right away. He cannot. Because at the far end of the hallway, filling the doorframe the way only a man built like Consequence fills a doorframe, Darius Kingsley is standing with his suit jacket draped over one forearm, and his eyes locked directly on Eli like he just walked in on something that requires an explanation. Nothing is happening. Eli was cleaning, that is all. He has been cleaning this hallway every morning for 8 months, and every morning it is empty, and every morning he gets through it without anyone watching. Until right now, Darius does not say anything immediately, he just looks. And that is the thing about Darius Kingsley that nobody who works in this house can fully prepare for, no matter how many months they spend here. The man does not need to speak to own a room. He walks in and the air reorganizes itself. The temperature shifts by a degree. Everything gets quieter and heavier and more precise, like the entire space has decided to pay better attention. He is 6'3" with the kind of stillness that comes from a man who has never in his adult life had to fight for authority. It simply belongs to him. Radiates off him the way heat radiates off asphalt in July. Unstoppable. Unavoidable, everywhere at once. Eli picks up the glass. Hi viewers, if you were standing in that hallway right now, heart pounding, trying to act like everything is completely fine, what would you do? Would you keep your mouth shut and disappear, or would you finally say something? Drop your answer in the comments right now, because what Eli does next is going to change everything in this house. You dropped something, Darius says. His voice is flat in the way expensive things are flat, not cheap, not hollow, just stripped of everything unnecessary. It is not warm and it is not mean. It simply lands where it is directed and expects to be heard. I apologize, Mr. Kingsley. Eli straightens, the glass held carefully between both hands. I'll be out of your way in a moment. Darius does not move from the doorway. His eyes move from Eli's face to the cleaning cart parked against the wall, then to the window at the far end of the hall where the Maryland morning light is coming in grey and even, and then back to Eli. The whole assessment takes 3 seconds. This hallway was cleaned yesterday, he says. Yes, sir, I clean it every morning. Every morning. Every morning, silence, the kind that makes the inside of your chest feel too small. Fine, Darius says. He steps past Eli with 2 strides, shoulders clearing the doorframe with a few inches to spare, and disappears around the far corner. His footsteps are quiet on the marble, then they are gone entirely. Eli stands completely still for 4 full seconds. Then his right hand reaches out and finds the edge of the cleaning cart and he holds on. His chest is doing something wrong. He is aware of it the way a person is aware of a sound in the walls of a house. Present, persistent, just below the level of something he can name out loud. He has been aware of it for 8 months. Ever since the first morning he walked into Kingsley Estate and Court, without warning and without any ability to stop it, the full weight of Darius Kingsley's alpha scent. Clean cedar and something warmer underneath, something richer, something that did not ask for permission before it moved straight through Eli's defenses and settled somewhere it had no business settling. He is an Omega. He knows exactly what that means and exactly what it does not mean and exactly what he cannot allow himself to think about inside this house. He has constructed his entire life here around a single rule. Be invisible, stay invisible, go home invisible. 8 months of perfect execution. 8 months of moving through these rooms like he is made of the same pale marble as the floors. 8 months of keeping his eyes down and his voice steady, and his scent suppressed so thoroughly that the other staff have stopped registering him as anything other than furniture that cleans itself. He loads the glass back onto the cart. He keeps moving. The east wing empties into the main corridor. The corridor opens into the grand foyer with its 2-story ceiling and the chandelier that throws small pieces of light across every surface even on a grey morning like this one. Eli has learned not to look at the chandelier. He keeps his pace even, his shoulders relaxed, his breathing deliberate. Past the sitting room, past the library, past the heavy closed door of Darius's private study. He is 12 feet from the staff staircase when he hears it, tires on gravel. The slow, deliberate crunch of something expensive rolling up the front drive. His feet stop. He does not decide to stop. His body does it without consulting him, the way a body does when it receives information that the brain has not caught up to yet. He turns, very slowly, toward the front windows. Through the sheer curtain, he can make out the shape of a matte black SUV pulling to a stop at the base of the front steps. The driver climbs out and moves to the rear door. A white-gloved hand emerges first, slim, pale, ringed at the index finger with something that catches the grey morning light like it was engineered specifically to do so. Cassandra Blake steps out of the vehicle. She is beautiful in the way certain things are beautiful when they are cold, precisely cut, deliberately arranged, designed to impress from a distance. Her hair is silver, not from age but by choice, pulled back so tightly and so perfectly that it looks like it was sculpted rather than styled. She is wearing a cream coat with a hem that moves when she walks in a way that suggests it cost more than Eli's entire savings. She lifts her head and looks at the face of Kingsley Estate the way someone looks at something that already belongs to them. Not with wonder, not with longing, just with the quiet, settled confidence of ownership. She was not supposed to arrive until Thursday. Today is Tuesday. Eli turns away from the window. He grabs the handle of the cleaning cart. He walks toward the staff staircase with every piece of composure he can pull together, which right now is not very much. He does not know why it matters that she is 2 days early. He cannot explain the thing that happens in his stomach when he watches her step out of that car. He is not supposed to notice her arrival schedule. He is not supposed to feel anything about it. He is the Omega Maid on the 3rd floor, and the only thing he is supposed to feel is nothing. He reaches the staircase. He puts his foot on the first step. Behind him, the front doors open. He hears it, the soft, solid click of the latch releasing, the brief rush of outside air, and then the shift. That particular shift in the atmosphere of a space when someone with authority enters it and everything inside quietly adjusts. Eli can feel it across the back of his neck. He does not turn around. Where is Darius? Cassandra Blake's voice is smooth and precise and expects to land exactly where it is aimed. It does. In the East Wing, Miss Blake, one of the front hall staff says from somewhere to the left. A pause. And the staff on this level, are they always in the foyer when guests arrive? Another pause longer. His name in her mouth is a different shape than it is in anyone else's. He turns. Cassandra Blake is standing 15 feet away looking at him with the kind of patience that has nothing behind it, not warmth, not curiosity, just patience, the way a very cold object is patient while it waits for you to touch it. Her pale eyes move over him slowly, thorough, like she is taking inventory. The one Darius brought on in the spring, she says. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She holds his gaze one beat longer than the conversation requires. Then the corners of her mouth lift, brief, exact, not quite a smile, and she turns away toward the East Wing corridor and walks without looking back. Eli waits. He waits until her footsteps are entirely gone and the foyer is completely empty and the front hall staff have gone back to their posts. He waits until there is no chance of anyone watching, then he turns back to the staircase. He does not allow himself to shake until he is 3 floors up and the door to the linen closet is shut behind him. But here is the thing. Here is the thing he does not know yet, standing in the dark of that closet with his hands pressed flat against the wall and his breathing not quite right. Cassandra Blake noticed him. She noticed everything about him in those 12 seconds. And Cassandra Blake has never once in her life noticed something she did not intend to do something about. Tuesday was not a scheduling change. Tuesday was a decision. And the clock on that decision has already started. Cassandra Blake takes exactly 11 minutes to walk through the first floor of Kingsley Estate and find 3 things that are wrong. She does it without a checklist and without raising her voice. She simply moves through the rooms, the sitting room, the morning room, the glass-walled breakfast area, and whenever she finds something that does not meet her standard she stops, looks at it for a moment, and makes a note in the small leather-bound book she carries in her left coat pocket. The orchids on the breakfast table are the wrong variety. The wingback chairs in the sitting room have been moved 3 inches out of alignment from where she last left them. The silver on the East Hall console table has a smear near the base that was not polished away. 3 things in 11 minutes. She writes them all down in the same even handwriting, and she does not say anything to anyone. Yet, Eli knows she has found them because that is how Cassandra works. The other staff told him during his first week, not as a warning exactly. More like a geographical feature. This mountain is here, this river bends this way, this particular woman notices everything and she catalogues it quietly and she presents it later, always at the exact moment when it will do the most damage. Eli filed the information away and decided it did not apply to him because he is thorough. He does not leave smears. He does not put things back 3 inches out of alignment. He believed that for 7 months and 3 weeks. He is on the 2nd floor when he hears the voices. He is not trying to listen. He is changing out the linens in the 2nd guest suite, moving quickly, efficiently, the way he always moves when the sound drifts up through the heating vent near the baseboard. Darius's voice first low, controlled, giving nothing away. Then Cassandra's smoother, more deliberate, threading through whatever space Darius's words leave behind. She said the 3rd floor needs attention. Cassandra's voice. Clear even through the vent. It doesn't. Darius's voice flat. The 3rd floor is Eli's section and it's been clean. A pause. Eli, Cassandra says, not a question. More like she is placing the name somewhere, deciding where it fits. The new hire, Darius says. He's been reliable. Another pause, longer this time. Reliable, Cassandra says, and the way she says it, unhurried even, not quite agreeing and not quite questioning, makes the hair on the back of Eli's arms stand up through his uniform sleeve. He does not mean to hold his breath. He does it anyway. Orchids in the breakfast room were wrong, she says, and the silver in the East Hall wasn't finished properly. Have it corrected. It's already on the list. A brief pause. I just want to make sure the right people understand what the standards are here. Before the engagement party. 3 weeks away. 140 guests in this house, including half of Darius Kingsley's board and the majority of the Kingsley Foundation's major donors. The entire first floor converted into an event space. A catering team flying in from New York. 4 days of preparation, and every piece of it falling on the household staff. Falling on Eli mostly because Eli's section includes the East Wing guest suites and the formal hallway and the 2 antechambers that connect the dining room to the main event space. He has already been given a preparation list. He has already started working through it. He is ahead of schedule. None of that matters right now. What matters is the word list, and the way Cassandra said Eli's name the second time, not placing it somewhere new, returning to it. Like a hand going back to a drawer it already opened once and decided to open again, Eli finishes the linen change. He folds the hospital corners with careful hands, smooths the coverlet, repositions the decorative pillows in the exact order specified in the household guide. He picks up the bundle of used linens and walks out of the guest suite and down the hall and does not think about the vent. He does not think about the conversation. He does not think about the way Cassandra Blake says his name like she already knows something about him that he has not told her. He is almost to the linen chute when he hears the second-floor landing creak. He turns. Cassandra Blake is at the top of the staircase, one hand resting on the banister, looking at him from across the length of the corridor. She is still wearing the cream coat. She has not taken it off. Like she is not planning to stay long in any one place but intends to move through all of them. Eli does not move. She does not move either. Fast, she says. For someone working alone up here, I try to stay ahead, ma'am. Ahead. She repeats the word in the same way she repeated reliable, not agreeing, not dismissing, just holding it up to the light and looking at it. Darius said you've been here 8 months. Yes, ma'am. Before this, the question is easy. It should be easy. Eli has an easy answer. A housekeeping agency in Baltimore, a reference from his supervisor, a clean employment record that anyone is welcome to verify. It is all true. Every word of it is completely true, but there is something in the way Cassandra is asking it. Something in the angle of her head and the patience of her expression that tells him the question is not actually about his employment history. She is not checking a box. She is pulling a thread and watching to see where it goes. An agency in Baltimore, he says. Before that, private residential work in Connecticut. She nods once. Good, she says. And then she turns and goes back down the staircase without another word. Eli stands in the hallway for a long moment. Then he goes to the linen chute and drops the bundle in and stands at the wall for a second with his eyes closed. He is not scared. He is not. He has done nothing wrong in this house. He has been nothing but professional and precise and thoroughly invisible, and he has given Cassandra Blake absolutely no reason to look at him the way she just looked at him. He has no reason to feel the thing he is currently feeling, which is the very specific, very quiet sensation of something moving in the dark just beyond the edge of where he can see. He goes back to work. But when he passes the East Hall console table 20 minutes later and finds it gleaming, polished, perfect, exactly the way he left it that morning, he stops. He looks at it. He looks at it for a long time, because the smear Cassandra noted in her little book was not there when Eli finished. He polished that silver himself at 6:45 this morning under the hall light, and he does not leave smears. Someone put it there after him. He stands in the East Hall with that knowledge sitting in his chest like something swallowed wrong, and he cannot prove it, and he cannot say it, and the party is 3 weeks away, and Cassandra Blake is somewhere in this house right now with her leather notebook, and her even handwriting and her careful, patient attention aimed at something Eli cannot quite see yet. The clock is still running. It starts with a tray. Eli is carrying the mid-morning refreshment tray from the kitchen to the second-floor study, Mr. Kingsley's 11 o'clock coffee, 2 cups because the household schedule has been updated to reflect that Miss Blake will be joining him. When the east corridor doors open without warning and Cassandra Blake steps out directly into his path, Eli stops. The tray stays level. He has spent 8 months developing the kind of balance that does not spill things no matter what happens around him, and that training holds even now, even with Cassandra Blake standing 3 feet away looking at him like she has been waiting for him to come around that corner. Illy, she says, Miss Blake. He adjusts his grip on the tray. I'm bringing up the 11 o'clock. I know what you're bringing. She looks at the tray, then at him. Put it down for a moment. He looks at the hall table to his left. He sets the tray down carefully, both cups still upright, the small pitcher of cream set squarely between them. He straightens and faces her. She steps closer. Not close enough to be threatening, not quite, but close enough that the distance between them is no longer neutral. She smells like expensive perfume and something else underneath, something controlled, the way a beater who has learned to project authority smells when they are using all of it at once. I have been going over the preparation list for the engagement party, she says. Your section specifically. The East Wing guest suites, the formal hallway, the antechambers. Yes, ma'am, I've already started. I know you've started. I've also noticed that you've been moving items in the East antechamber. The arrangement I left for the florals last month, it's been changed. Lee keeps his face steady. The arrangement you're referring to was a temporary placement. It was noted in the room log as a staging setup, not a permanent layout. I moved the pieces back to their registered positions to make space for the event prep checklist. The room log, she says, with the particular kind of patience that is not patience at all, but something wearing patience's clothing. Yes, ma'am. The log signed off by Mr. Kingsley's household manager. A silence drops between them. Cassandra Blake looks at him, not past him, not through him, directly at him with the focus of someone who is used to finding the exact place where a thing will break if enough pressure is applied. Precise, she says finally. Very precise for staff. I try to do my job properly. Your job, she says. Yes, she lets the word sit. Darius has a habit of collecting precise people. People who are good at their jobs. People who understand the value of discretion. Do you understand the value of discretion, Illy? This is not a question about cleaning. He knows it is not a question about cleaning, and she knows he knows. That is the point. She is telling him something with the shape of a question, so that if he reacts to what she is actually saying, she can look at him with those pale, empty eyes and say she has no idea what he's referring to. I'm here to do my job, ma'am, he says. That's all. She looks at him for one more moment. Then she picks up both cups from the tray, turns, and walks back through the east corridor doors, pulling them shut behind her. The click of the latch is very small and very final in the empty hall. Eli stands at the hall table with the empty tray in his hands. She took both cups. She left him standing here with a tray he cannot deliver, and a conversation he cannot repeat, and a point she made so smoothly he could almost believe he imagined it. Almost. He picks up the tray. He carries it back to the kitchen. He requests 2 replacement cups, explains that there was a spillage, which is not precisely true, but is close enough that it does not require further explanation, and then he goes back to his section, and works with the kind of controlled precision that looks, from the outside, like calm. It is not calm. The afternoon brings a new development. Eli is deep in the 3rd East guest suite, stripping the upper shelves of the bathroom cabinet, wiping them down, reloading them in the precise order specified in the household registry, when he hears voices in the guest bedroom on the other side of the wall. He does not recognize the second voice at first. Then it separates from Cassandra's, and he does. It is Mrs. Yolanda Pierce, the household manager, the woman who hired Eli 8 months ago, the woman who signed every log and reviewed every prep list and has never once given Eli reason to doubt that she was fair. He cannot hear everything. He catches fragments through the shared wall, standard background verification for all staff before an event of this size. Cassandra's voice, smooth and reasonable. I'm not suggesting anything improper, Yolanda, just due diligence. Given the guest list, all staff were verified at the time of hire. Of course, I'm sure they were. I'm simply asking whether we might revisit the newer additions. It's standard practice at this level of event. A pause, specifically. Mrs. Pierce's voice careful, a pause longer than the first. The 3rd floor, Cassandra says. The bathroom cabinet is perfectly organized. Every bottle, every folded cloth, every labeled container in its documented place. Eli finishes the last shelf and closes the cabinet door and looks at himself in the mirror above the sink for exactly 2 seconds. Then he picks up his supplies, walks out of the bathroom, walks through the guest bedroom without looking at the wall. Cassandra's voice is coming through, and continues to the next room on his list. He knows what is happening. He has known people like Cassandra Blake before, not exactly like her, not with her resources or her position, but the pattern is not new to him. The way they work is always the same. They do not make accusations, they make suggestions. They ask questions in rooms where the right people can hear them. They position themselves near the decision-making and let the current do the rest. By the time you understand what they are doing, the water is already over your head. He will not give her a single thing to work with. Not one. He is clean, his record is clean, his work is clean, and he has done nothing in this house except exactly what he was hired to do. She cannot touch him. He tells himself this on every step of the staircase going up. He is almost convinced when he gets to the top. But conviction is a fragile thing when someone is working against it quietly and consistently, and with 8 months head start on the patience required to dismantle it. And Cassandra Blake, Eli is beginning to understand, has been patient for much longer than 8 months. Cassandra Blake has been patient for her entire adult life. It is her primary skill and her primary weapon, and it does not run out. 3 weeks until the party. 3 weeks in this house, in these halls, in every room where she is learning the map of him. He goes back to work, and somewhere on the 1st floor in a room Eli cannot see, Cassandra Blake opens her small leather notebook and writes something new. It happens on a Wednesday, 3 days before the engagement party. 11:47 in the morning. Eli is in the east antechamber, rearranging the floral stands for the final time when the doors behind him open and he hears 2 sets of footsteps. One he knows, one he does not. And then the sound stops and the room goes quiet in the way. A room goes quiet when someone is waiting for him to turn around. He turns around. Cassandra Blake is standing inside the doorway. Beside her is a woman Eli does not recognize, older, with a tablet in her hands and the brisk, no-nonsense posture of someone who gets paid to make assessments. An event coordinator, maybe, or someone from the catering firm, or something else. Eli cannot tell. We need this room cleared, Cassandra says. Eli looks at the space around him, the positioned floral stands, the draped table along the east wall, the 2 chairs arranged per the event layout that was approved 2 weeks ago by Mrs. Pierce and signed off by Mr. Kingsley's assistant. He looks back at Cassandra. This layout was approved for the party prep, he says. It's per the event plan. The event plan has been updated, she says. As of this morning, I wasn't informed of any update. You're being informed now. She gestures to the woman beside her. We need to take measurements for a catering station. This room needs to be cleared to the walls. Ma'am, I'd need to see the updated layout before I dismantle a setup that was formally approved. I can check with Mrs. Pierce. Yolando's off-site until 4. Cassandra's voice does not change, not in pitch, not in pace. It remains perfectly, dangerously level. And the measurement team has a window of 30 minutes. I'm asking you to clear the room. Woman with the tablet does not look at either of them. She is typing something. Eli looks at the floral stands. He spent 4 hours on this placement. He has photographs of the approved layout and measurements documented in the room log and 2 separate sign-offs from the household manager. He can put all of it back exactly as it was. He can do it in 2 hours if he needs to. None of that is the issue. The issue is that Cassandra Blake is standing in this room telling him to do something she does not have the authority to tell him to do, and she knows that he knows that, and she is watching him to see what he does when he knows it. Need to document the change request before I proceed, he says. Can I get your authorization in writing? For a moment, just a moment, something moves in Cassandra's pale eyes. Quick, small, and gone before he can name it. Asking me for written authorization, she says. My records, ma'am. Standard procedure for changes to an approved event layout. Woman with the tablet has stopped typing. She is very still. Cassandra looks at Eli. Eli looks at Cassandra, then Cassandra steps forward. Not fast, measured, deliberate, every inch of it chosen, and she stops directly in front of him with less than 3 feet between them and looks up at him with the full weight of everything she is. Let me be very clear with you, she says quietly, so quietly that the woman with the tablet would have to strain to hear it. I am Darius Kingsley's fiancée. I will be the mistress of this house in 8 weeks. And when I tell a member of this household staff to do something, I am not making a request. Do you understand me? Eli's hands are at his sides. He can feel his own pulse. He keeps his face completely still. I understand, he says, and I will absolutely carry out any instruction from you the moment I have it in writing so that I'm protected and you're protected, and there's no confusion when Mrs. Pierce returns. Silence between them is very small and very full. Then Cassandra's hand moves, not toward the notebook, not toward her phone. She reaches out and picks up the closest item within reach, a small framed placement card sitting on the edge of the draped table, and she looks at it with great interest as if she has just noticed it, and then she lets it fall. It is a small thing. A single deliberate drop, 4 inches from the edge of the table, nothing significant, nothing that leaves a mark. But it is chosen and it is timed, and it lands between them like an answer to a question Eli did not ask out loud. Pick it up, she says. She is not looking at him. She is still looking at the empty space where the card was. The woman with the tablet has her eyes on the floor. Eli looks at the placement card lying flat on the carpet. He looks at it for 2 full seconds. He can feel something in his chest, not fear, not anger, something older and quieter than both, pulling at the edges of everything he has spent 8 months holding in place. He bends down. He picks up the card. He sets it back on the table exactly where it was. Thank you, Cassandra says, and she turns and walks toward the door. Clear the room by 12:15. The measurement team is ready. She is through the door before he can answer. The woman with the tablet follows without looking at him. The antechamber doors close. The room is empty. The floral stands stand around Eli in their careful, arranged positions like they are waiting for him to tell them what just happened. He stands very still. The thing in his chest does not go away. It spreads, slow and even and radiating outward from somewhere deep in the center of him. And it is not hot the way anger is supposed to be hot. It is cold. Cold and clear and extremely quiet, the way something is quiet when it has been suppressed long enough that it has found a way to exist without sound. He has felt this before. He has felt exactly this before in a different house with different walls and a different set of hands pointing at the floor. He was younger then, he was softer then, he did not know what he knows now. He knows now. He begins to dismantle the floral layout, methodically, completely, without sound. He documents every piece with photographs before he moves it, logs the removal in the room tablet, and notes the time and the name of the person who instructed the change. He clears the room in 22 minutes. He is 7 minutes under the deadline. But as he is carrying the last stand through the antechamber doors, he nearly collides with Darius Kingsley coming the other direction. Darius catches the stand before it can tip. His hands close around the frame 2 inches below Eli's, and for exactly 2 seconds they are both holding the same piece of furniture, and the distance between them is closer than it has been in 8 months, and Eli can smell that scent, cedar, warmth, something underneath that does not have a name, and his hands tighten involuntarily on the frame. What happened to the layout in there? Darius asks. He is looking past Eli into the cleared antechamber. Miss Blake requested it cleared for measurements, Eli says. His voice comes out steady. He is grateful for that. I documented the change in the room log, looks into the empty room. His jaw shifts slightly. He looks at Eli. You documented it. Sir, a beat. Good, Darius says. And then he takes his hands off the stand and steps back and walks into the antechamber and stands in the center of the empty space and is still for a long time. Eli carries the stand to the staging area and does not look back, but the place where Darius's hands were, 2 inches below his own, is warm for the rest of the afternoon. And somewhere else in the house, Cassandra Blake knows exactly where Darius went when he found the room cleared. She planned that too. It is 6:48 in the morning, 2 days before the engagement party, and Eli Monroe is alone in the east hallway with a polishing cloth and the last piece of silver on his prep list when Cassandra Blake opens the service door and walks in. She does not knock. The service door does not require knocking. It is a staff access point and she is not staff, but she opens it anyway and she steps through it anyway and she stops 4 feet from where Eli is kneeling beside the console table with the cloth still in his hand and she looks at him. Eli looks up. Miss Blake, he says. The main entrance is, I know where the main entrance is. She is holding her phone. The screen is on, facing him, and she is watching him look at it. Want to talk to you about something I found. He stands, slowly, deliberately, because bending down in front of her is something he is no longer willing to do. What did you find? He asks. She turns the phone toward him. On the screen is a photograph. The photograph is of the East Hall console table, this table, the one he is standing beside right now, and in the photograph there is a smear on the silver base of the central candle holder. Clear, visible, exactly in the center of the frame. This was taken yesterday evening, Cassandra says, after you submitted your completion log for this section. Lee looks at the photograph, then he looks at the candle holder on the table beside him. He looks at it for a full 3 seconds. He finished this silver at 6:30 this morning. He photographed his own work. He has the timestamp. Completion log for this section was submitted after I finished it this morning, he says. The photographs are in the room tablet with timestamps. I'm showing you a photo from yesterday evening, she says. Ma'am, with respect, I can show you my documentation. I have everything logged. You have logs, she says. I have photographs. She steps closer. Her phone is still facing him, the smear on the silver front and center, and her expression is the same expression it has been every day since Tuesday, patient, controlled, completely empty of anything he can challenge directly. I want to know what else has been missed, she says. I want a full walkthrough of your section before the party, today. Arrange that with Mrs. Pierce. Mrs. Pierce is on a call until 10. I want it now. She looks around the hallway, the polished surfaces, the arranged pieces, the immaculate floor. You understand that I have a responsibility to this house, to Darius. I am 8 weeks away from being the person responsible for everything inside these walls. I need to be able to trust the people who maintain them. She pauses. And right now, Eli, I am having a very hard time trusting you. She says his name the way she has said it every time since Tuesday, deliberate, weighted, placed with the specific intention of landing somewhere it will do the most damage. He looks at her. He looks at this woman standing in a staff hallway. She entered through a door she was not supposed to come through, holding a photograph she had taken specifically to create a problem that does not exist, saying his name in a house where she does not yet live and does not yet have the authority she is performing right now at 6:48 in the morning, and everything Eli Monroe has been holding in place for 8 months, and for the years before those 8 months goes very, very still. I understand your concern, he says, and his voice is completely level. She steps closer. She is not a large woman. She is not physically intimidating in any objective sense, but she steps closer anyway into the space that is closer than appropriate, and she holds up the phone so the photograph is 3 inches from his face. Want you to explain this, she says, and then her free hand moves. Quick, sure, completely deliberate. She reaches past him toward the console table, toward the candle holder he just polished, the one with no smear on it, and she drags 2 fingers across the silver base, slowly, looking at him the whole time. Now there's another one, she says. There is a moment, a single, suspended moment, where the hallway is completely silent, and the morning light is coming in flat and grey through the window above the table, and Cassandra Blake is standing 3 inches from Eli Monroe with her fingers on the silver and her eyes on his face, and she is waiting to see what he does. She has been waiting for this since Tuesday. The whole week has been building to this exact moment, this exact distance, this exact expression on her face that says she has already decided what comes next. And Eli does something Cassandra Blake did not plan for. He does not step back, he does not look away, he does not speak, he does not explain. He does not reach for the tablet or his phone, or any of the documentation that would prove every single thing she is doing right now. He does none of those things, because none of those things are what 8 months and years before that, and a specific kind of rage that has been living very quietly in the center of a very contained person, are asking him to do right now. He reaches out. He wraps his hand around Cassandra Blake's wrist, the one with the fingers still touching his work, and he removes her hand from the candle holder, not roughly, not gently, with exactly the amount of force required to make it perfectly, unmistakably clear. Cassandra Blake goes absolutely still. She looks at his hand around her wrist. She looks at his face. And for the first time in 8 days, for possibly the first time since she walked into this house, her expression changes. It is not fear exactly, it is recognition. The recognition of someone who built a very careful trap and has just realized the thing inside it is not what she thought it was. "Touch my work again," Eli says, quietly, with total certainty. "Don't touch anything in my section again." She opens her mouth. Behind her, from the main corridor entrance at the far end of the hallway, a door opens. Darius Kingsley stops in the doorframe. He sees Eli. He sees Cassandra. He sees Eli's hand around Cassandra's wrist, and Cassandra's fingers hovering 2 inches from the console table, and the two of them standing in a staff hallway at 6:49 in the morning, in a silence that has a specific and complicated weight. Darius does not move. He stands in the doorframe and he looks at exactly what is in front of him, not at a version of it, not at the version that is easier to explain or easier to dismiss, and whatever he expected to find when he opened that door, it was not this. Eli releases Cassandra's wrist. He steps back 1 step. He does not apologize. And in the east hallway of Kingsley Estate, with the morning light going grey and flat through the window, and the silver polished and perfect on the console table, and Darius Kingsley standing in the doorframe not saying anything at all, Eli Monroe waits, because here is what he knows. Here is the thing that nobody in this house except him knows. What Cassandra Blake has been doing to him all week is not new to him. And what she just felt when his hand closed around her wrist, that total flat certainty, that is not new either. The only thing that is new is Darius standing in that doorframe. The only thing that is new is that this time, someone saw it, and whether that changes anything, whether Darius Kingsley turns and walks away, or stays and asks the question that the hallway is currently holding like a held breath, that is not something Eli Monroe can control, but he is done being invisible. Whatever comes next, he is done. Darius Kingsley does not move from the doorframe for a long time. He stands there with one hand still on the door and his eyes on the two of them. Eli 1 step back, hands at his sides, and Cassandra facing him with her wrist held close to her body and her expression doing something complicated that she has not yet gotten under full control. The hallway holds all 3 of them like a photograph that has not decided what it is yet. Then Darius speaks. Cassandra, just her name. Flat and even, the way a closed door is flat and even, she turns to him. And the thing she does with her face is remarkable, genuinely remarkable, because it happens in under a second. The complicated expression folds away, and what replaces it is composed and soft and slightly injured, like a woman who walked into a room to handle something reasonable and found herself in the middle of something she did not cause. She says, her voice is low and measured. "I came to check on the prep in this section. I found another issue with the silver and I was trying to address it and, come with me," Darius says. He does not look at Eli yet. He is still looking at Cassandra, and whatever is in his face right now is not the face of a man who is sorting this out in her favor. It is the face of a man who is being very careful about what he says before he understands exactly what he is looking at. Cassandra moves toward him without another word. She passes through the doorframe into the main corridor and Darius holds the door and does not follow her immediately. He stops. He looks back at Eli. Eli does not look away. He stands in the staff hallway beside the console table with its polished silver and his eyes meet Darius's, and he keeps them there because he is done being the first one to look at the floor. Darius holds his gaze for 3 full seconds, then he says very quietly, "Don't go anywhere." Door closes. The hallway is empty. Eli turns and puts both hands flat on the console table and breathes. He has no idea what Darius Kingsley just saw. He has no idea how a man who is 8 weeks from marrying Cassandra Blake processes the image of his Omega housekeeper holding his fiancée's wrist in a service hallway at 6:49 in the morning. He has run through it twice in 30 seconds, and both versions end the same way, with Eli clearing out his locker and calling the agency in Baltimore before noon. He straightens. He picks up the polishing cloth from where he set it on the cart. He begins working on the next piece of silver on his list with hands that are almost completely steady. He is on the 3rd piece when the door opens again. Darius comes back alone. He closes the door behind him, and he stands at the entrance of the hallway, and he looks at Eli working, and for a moment he does not say anything at all. He just watches. And something about the quality of that watching is different from every other time Darius Kingsley has looked at Eli Monroe in this house. It is not the look of an employer checking a task. It is not the assessment of a man passing through. It is focused in a way that makes the air between them feel like it has changed density. "Put that down," Darius says. Eli puts the cloth down. He faces him. "Tell me what happened in here this morning," Darius says. "From the beginning, don't leave anything out." So Eli tells him. He does not perform it and he does not soften it. He starts with Tuesday and the smear on the silver that he did not leave in Cassandra's leather notebook, and he moves through the week in order, the conversation through the heating vent, the 2 cups taken off the tray, the antechamber and the placement card dropped on the floor, the instructions that could not be verified, the documentation he took at every step. He gets to this morning and the photograph on Cassandra's phone and her fingers dragging across the silver he had already polished, and he stops. He does not say what he was feeling when it happened. He does not say what it reminded him of. He says the facts in the order they occurred, and then he is quiet. Darius stands with his arms at his sides, and his jaw set and his eyes on a point just past Eli's left shoulder, and he does not interrupt once during the whole account. When Eli finishes, the hallway is very still. You have documentation, Darius says, photographs with timestamps, room tablet logs, every change request noted with the time of instruction and the name of the person who gave it. Send it to me. Sir, all of it. Send it to the household email. I want to see it. Eli looks at him. He is looking for the angle, for the version of this where Darius collects the documentation and uses it for something other than what it appears to be intended for. He looks for it because that is what experience teaches you to do when a man with everything is standing in front of you asking for information. He does not find it. What he finds instead is Darius Kingsley looking back at him with an expression that is stripped of all the things it usually carries, the distance, the authority, the careful blankness of a man who does not give things away in his own house. It is the face, Eli realizes slowly, of a man who is recalibrating, working something out in real time that he thought he already understood. Send it, Eli says. Darius nods once. He turns to go. Mr. Kingsley. Eli says it before he decides to say it. The words are out and flat in the air between them before he has a chance to weigh them. Darius stops. He turns back. She did not come through the main entrance this morning, Eli says. She came through the service door. A moment passes. Another. I know, Darius says. He leaves. Eli stands in the hallway for a long time after. He stands there long enough for the morning light to shift 2 degrees through the window and for the house to wake up around him. Footsteps from the floors above. The distant sound of the kitchen coming to life. Voices too far away to make out. He stands there until his hands are fully steady, and his breathing is even and the thing in the center of his chest has settled back into the shape it usually holds. Then he picks up the polishing cloth. And for the first time in 8 months, he wonders what it means that Darius Kingsley knows, because there is a difference between a man who finds out something and a man who already knew. And Darius Kingsley said I know with the ease and the flatness of someone who did not have to think about the answer, which means he has been watching this hallway, which means at some point before 6:49 this morning, Darius was paying attention to something that did not require him to be. Eli polishes the silver. He polishes it perfectly. And somewhere on the other side of the house, in a room Eli cannot see, Cassandra Blake is sitting very still and doing what Cassandra Blake always does when a plan begins to shift. She is thinking, adjusting, finding the next point of pressure and calculating the distance to it. She has not lost. Not yet, and she is patient enough to know that the next move is not the last move. Mrs. Yolanda Pierce calls Eli into her office at 2:15 in the afternoon, and her face tells him everything before she speaks. She is a tall woman, mid-50s, with close-cropped natural hair and the kind of posture that comes from years of managing a house where everything has to be right all the time. She has been good to Eli. Straightforward, clear, professional in a way that never needed to be explained. She tells him to sit and he sits, and she looks at the tablet in her hands for a long moment before she looks at him. I reviewed your documentation from this morning, she says. Yes, ma'am. Of it, the photographs, the room logs, the timestamp from your polishing session this morning and the timestamp on the photograph Miss Blake presented. She sets the tablet down on her desk with deliberate care. The photograph she showed you was taken at 9:47 last night. Eli is quiet. You submitted your completion log for that section at 6:22 this morning, she says, which means the photograph she used to question your work was taken before you performed the work she was questioning you about. Office is very still. That's correct, Eli says. Yolanda Pierce looks at him. Not past him, not through him. At him in the way that says the looking itself is a kind of statement. I want you to know, she says slowly, choosing every word with care, that I take my responsibility to the people on my staff as seriously as I take my responsibility to this house. Both things are equally true. I need you to know that. Do, he says. She is quiet for a moment. Then she says, Mr. Kingsley and I spoke this afternoon. He has asked me to conduct a formal review of the incidents you documented this week before the party. She pauses. He was specific about the timeline. He wants it completed before Miss Blake's dinner reservation tonight. That pause has a weight to it. Tonight, before Cassandra is back in this house. Eli does not say anything, but something shifts in him. Not relief, not quite, but something adjacent to it. Something that feels like a door opening 2 inches in a room that has been completely sealed for a very long time. I want to ask you something, Yolanda says, and her voice drops slightly, the professional distance thinning just enough to let something through. And you don't have to answer it if you don't want to. This is off the record between us. He waits. Has any part of what happened this week reminded you of something before? She asks. I don't mean in this house. Before. Question lands very precisely. Too precisely to be accidental. Eli looks at her, this woman who hired him, who reviewed his references, who signed his first work log 8 months ago, and he understands that she is asking because she already suspects the answer, and she wants to know whether he will trust her enough to say it. He makes a decision. Yes, he says. She nods. Once, slow. Then I need you to write it down, she says. Not for the review, for your own record. Whatever happened before this house, if it's something that creates a pattern, especially if that pattern involves anyone with authority over an omega in a domestic space, you need it documented somewhere, in your own words, just in case. Lee sits with that for a moment. In case of what? He asks. Yolanda Pierce looks at the window behind her desk. The Maryland afternoon is pale and flat outside the glass. In case this doesn't stay contained to a week, she says. In case it keeps going after the party. In case it becomes something neither of us can handle at the household level. She says it with perfect evenness. And in that evenness is the thing she is not saying, that she has already thought about what happens if Cassandra Blake becomes the official mistress of this house, that she has already run the numbers on what 8 weeks means. That the review she is doing this afternoon and the conversation she is having right now are both things she is doing because she is not certain she will be able to do them after the wedding without consequence. Eli understands every word of it. Write it down, he says. Good. She picks the tablet back up. Give me the rest of the afternoon to complete the review. Stay in your section, document everything, and if Miss Blake makes contact with you in any capacity before I've spoken to Mr. Kingsley tonight, you come to me immediately. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. Good. She pauses, then quieter. You've done your job right in this house, Eli. Every day since you walked in, I want you to know I see that. He stands. He straightens his uniform. He walks to the door and then he stops because there is one thing he needs to say before he leaves this room and cannot figure out the right way to say it, so he just says it. She came through the service door this morning, he says, his back still to her. Not the main entrance. A pause. I know, Yolanda says. He leaves. He goes back to his section. He works. He photographs every surface he touches and logs every timestamp, and does his job with the same precision he has brought to it every single day for 8 months. He does not let his hands slow down. He does not let his mind wander toward the things it wants to wander toward the conversation in this hallway this morning, toward the way Darius Kingsley said don't go anywhere, toward the specific look on Darius's face when Eli met his eyes and held them. He does not let himself think about any of that. He thinks about the silver, the placement of the floral stands, the order of the supply inventory. He thinks about the job in front of him and he does it exactly right. At 5:43 his phone gets a message from the household system. A schedule update. The east antechamber floral layout, the one Cassandra cleared, the one Eli spent 4 hours on, has been reinstated to the original approved configuration. All pieces to be returned to their documented positions. Authorization code, DRK, Darius's code, not the household manager's code, not the events coordinator's code. Darius's. Eli looks at the message for a long moment, then he goes to the staging area and he begins bringing the floral stands back, piece by piece, exactly as they were. Every measurement, every position, every angle restored to where he had them before anyone touched them. He works until 6:40, until the antechamber looks exactly like the approved layout again, until every piece is back where he put it and the room is correct in every detail. Then he stands in the center of it and he looks at what he rebuilt, and he feels something he has not allowed himself to feel in a very long time, not hope exactly. He is too careful for hope, but something that lives in the same neighborhood. Something that understands that a man does not restore a floral arrangement at 6:40 in the evening, using his own authorization code for a reason that has nothing to do with the party. He turns off the antechamber lights, he goes upstairs, and in his room after dinner, he sits at the small desk in the corner and he opens a document on his phone and he begins to write. Not for the review, for himself. In his own words from the beginning, before this house, before Baltimore, before the agency and the references and the clean employment record. From the part of his history that is not on any document anywhere, because he made very specific decisions about what to file and what to hold. He writes until midnight. When he stops, what is on that document is the truest and most complete account of Eli Monroe's life that has ever existed in any form anywhere. And he does not know yet, sitting at that desk in his room on the 3rd floor of Kingsley Estate, that in less than 36 hours, every word of it is going to matter more than anything he has ever documented in any room log. The engagement party begins at 7 o'clock on a Friday evening, and by 8:15 it has 143 people in it, a string quartet in the south drawing room, catered food from a kitchen in Manhattan, and a secret that is 48 hours from breaking the entire night in half. Eli is working. He was always going to be working tonight, moving through the event spaces with the quiet efficiency that has defined his 8 months in this house, refilling things that need refilling, redirecting things that have been moved, existing in the background of a party where everything is supposed to be perfect, and his job is to make sure it stays that way. He has not seen Cassandra since yesterday morning in the hallway. He has not seen Darius since Darius closed the door behind him after saying I know. He has seen Mrs. Pierce twice in passing, and each time she has given him one look that contains everything. The review is complete, the documentation is solid, the conversation with Darius happened, and he has given her one look back that says he understands. The party moves the way expensive parties move, with the particular kind of effortless that takes enormous effort to produce. The guests are dressed in a level of money that makes the room itself feel different. Board members from Kingsley Capital Foundation donors, family from both sides. Cassandra is at the center of it in a silver dress that matches her hair exactly, moving from cluster to cluster with the practiced ease of someone who has rehearsed this exact sequence many times and knows every mark. Darius is at the center with her. Physically beside her, hand at the small of her back when the photographers pass, smile present in the way a man's smile is present when he is being documented and knows it. He is doing what he is supposed to do. He looks exactly like an alpha CEO 8 weeks from the most important social commitment of his professional and personal year is supposed to look. Eli does not watch him. He is not watching him. He is restocking the East Antechamber's service table, and not watching anything except the supply level of the sparkling water and the position of the napkins, and the 3 things on his task list that still need to be handled before 9 o'clock. "You clean up well," voice comes from his left. Low, unhurried, not loud enough to carry, he turns. Darius Kingsley is standing in the entrance of the antechamber, one hand in his trouser pocket, bow tie undone at the collar, looking at Eli with an expression that has no performance in it. No party smile, no camera-ready composure. He looks like a man who walked into this room because this is the room he actually wanted to be in. Eli realizes he is wearing his formal service uniform, the black one with the fitted jacket that the household requires for event nights. He looks down at it briefly and then back up. "I'm working, Mr. Kingsley," he says. "I know you are." Darius steps into the room. "I wanted to talk to you before the night gets any more complicated. Sir, if this is about this morning, it's about everything," Darius says, quiet, simple. Like a man who has been carrying something for longer than today and has decided to set it down. The documentation Mrs. Pierce pulled together, the timestamps, the photograph Cassandra took at 9:47. He stops 2 feet from Eli and looks at him directly. "The placement card." Lee goes still. "You know about the placement card," he says. "Cameras in the East Antechamber have been active since Tuesday," Darius says. "Standard security protocol ahead of an event of this size. I reviewed the footage this morning. Everything Eli has been holding shifts and reorganizes in the space of 2 seconds. The antechamber. The placement card dropped from the table edge, deliberate, slow, aimed. Cassandra looking at the empty space where it landed and saying, 'Pick it up.' The woman with the tablet who would not look at either of them, all of it on camera. 'Why didn't you tell me this morning?' Eli asks. 'Because this morning I needed to know what you would do if I didn't,' Darius says. 'And you documented everything. You had timestamps going back to Tuesday. You went to Mrs. Pierce. You didn't collapse and you didn't escalate past what the situation required. You held your ground.' Lee looks at him. He does not know what to say. He has never in his life been in a conversation that was this quiet and this weighted at the same time. 'She's done this before,' Darius says. Not a question. Eli is quiet for a moment. 'Her specifically,' he says, 'but the pattern.' Darius nods. His jaw shifts. He looks at the restored floral arrangement, the stands back in their places, every piece exactly where Eli had them before Tuesday, and something moves across his face that Eli cannot fully read. It is not anger, it is not relief. It is something older than both, something that looks like a man confronting a truth he has been permitting himself to half see for longer than he wants to say out loud. "Owe you an apology," Darius says. Eli blinks. "Sir, not as your employer. As the person who let someone into this house who made it unsafe for you to do your job. I was watching and I was not watching at the same time, and that has a cost. You paid it. That is not acceptable to me." Room is very quiet. Outside through the closed doors the party moves on, the string quartet, the voices, the clink of glasses. In here there is just the two of them and the restored flowers and Darius Kingsley saying something that nobody has said to Eli Monroe in longer than Eli can currently calculate. "You don't have to apologize to me," Eli says. His voice is steady. "Barely. I'm doing it anyway," Darius says, a beat. And then another, then from outside the antechamber doors, heels on marble. Even deliberate, coming closer. They both hear it at the same time. Darius does not move. He does not step back or adjust, or put any distance between himself and this conversation. He stands exactly where he is and looks at the door and waits. The door opens. Cassandra Blake stands in the entrance of the antechamber in her silver dress, with 143 guests 20 feet behind her, and her pale eyes moving from Darius to Eli to Darius and back again, with the speed and precision of someone doing a calculation she did not expect to need to do tonight. "There you are," she says to Darius. Warm, easy, the voice she uses in public rooms. "Here I am," he says, a pause. She looks at Eli. Her expression does not change, not a flicker. "We are about to do the toast," she says. "Marcus has been looking for you. Be there in a moment." Another pause, longer, of course. She steps back from the doorway, but she does not go. She stands in the entrance and she holds the door open and she looks at Darius in a way that is completely composed and completely clear. You are not staying in this room. Darius looks at Eli. Send me the document, he says. Just that, quiet and direct. Eli stares at him. Sir, the document you wrote last night. Send it to the household email. His eyes hold Eli's for exactly long enough to mean something. I want to read it before the week is out. Eli does not ask how he knows about the document. He does not ask anything. He just looks at this man, this alpha standing in the middle of his own engagement party telling a maid to send him a private document he should have no knowledge of, and he feels something in his chest rearrange itself into a shape he does not have a name for. Send it, he says. Darius turns. He walks toward Cassandra. He goes through the door. She follows. The door closes. The party goes on. The toast happens. The speeches are made, and the guests laugh, and the string quartet plays something elegant in the south drawing room, and every surface in Kingsley Estate gleams under the event, lighting exactly the way it is supposed to. Eli stands in the antechamber and does not move for 1 full minute. Then he picks up the sparkling water and restocks the service table and goes back to work. And in the East Hall, at precisely 9:44, Cassandra Blake slips away from the party for 6 minutes. When she comes back, there is something different in her expression, not visible to most people, not something a camera would catch, but Eli, passing through the corridor with an empty tray, sees it. He knows that look. He has seen it in a different face, years ago, on a different night, in a house smaller than this one. It is the look of someone who just made a move they cannot take back. His hands tighten on the tray, and somewhere in the house, in a room he cannot see, something has already changed. The call comes at 7:14 on Saturday morning. Eli's phone, on the desk beside the document he wrote, lights up with a number he does not recognize. He almost does not answer it. He picks it up on the third ring and a man's voice says, "Is this Eli Monroe?" "This is Darnell Cross. I'm an attorney. I was asked to reach out to you by a mutual contact regarding some documentation you may have in your possession." Lee sits up. "Who asked you to reach out?" he says. "Not at liberty to say directly," the attorney says. "But I was told to tell you that the restoration was authorized, if that means something to you." Restoration was authorized. Darius's code. The floral stands. The one thing nobody else would know to say. Eli takes a breath. "What do you need from me?" "I need you to send everything you have to the address I'm going to give you. Every photograph, every room log, every timestamp, everything. And the personal document, the one you wrote Wednesday night." Eli asks, "Because someone filed a complaint yesterday evening with the Maryland Omega Labor Protection Board," the attorney says, "and it wasn't filed against you." Room is very quiet. Eli is very quiet. "Who filed it?" he says. A pause. "The complaint was filed by Darius Reginald Kingsley on behalf of an Omega employee at Kingsley Estate, against Cassandra Elaine Blake, for sustained targeted harassment, authority misuse, and deliberate interference with the working environment of a protected Omega domestic worker." Another pause. "He needs your documentation to support the filing within the next 48 hours. Eli's hand is on his knee. He is aware of it the way you are aware of something when you need something to hold on to, and there is only yourself. He did not ask Darius to do this. He did not tell Darius enough to do this. He told him the facts in order, and he documented the week, and he sent the document he wrote at midnight, and he has been in this house doing his job for 8 months, and somewhere between Tuesday and last night, Darius Kingsley looked at all of it and made a decision that Eli was never going to make for himself. "Tell me where to send it," Eli says. He sends everything within 30 minutes. Every file, every photograph, the room logs, the timestamps, the full document from Wednesday night that starts not in this house but 7 years before it, in a different Maryland city, in a domestic position he left without a formal complaint because he was 22 years old and unprotected, and did not know he had the right to one. At 9 o'clock his phone lights up again. A message, not a call. Household system. From DRK it says, "I read it, all of it. I'm sorry it took this long for someone to." Eli stares at that message for a very long time. He does not reply immediately. He gets dressed. He goes downstairs. He walks into the east hallway and he picks up the polishing cloth and he begins on the morning silver because it is Saturday and the day after the party, and the first thing on his list is the same thing that is always first on his list. At 10:20, the front doors of Kingsley Estate open and Cassandra Blake exits with 2 rolling bags and the woman who drove the matte black SUV, and she does not look back at the house. Eli does not see it. He is 3 floors up, but Mrs. Pierce tells him at 11, standing in the linen room doorway with her arms folded and her expression doing something between relief and something harder to name. "She's gone," Yolanda says. "For now. The formal proceedings will take time." But Darius asked her to leave the estate effective this morning. Lee sets down the folded sheet. "For now," he says. "Cassandra Blake has resources and she has lawyers and she is not the kind of person who disappears quietly," Yolanda says. "But she left, and that matters. Today it matters." He nods. "Party damage to the 3rd floor supply closet," Yolanda says, moving briskly back into professional mode, "needs to be logged before noon. Also the East Antechamber post-event walkthrough. Have it done by 11:45, Eli says. She pauses at the doorway. She says it with a weight she does not usually put into his name. "You held your ground in a situation where most people would have disappeared. I want you to sit with that." He looks at her. I hear you, he says. She leaves. He stands in the linen room for a moment. The quiet of the house is different this morning, not the dangerous quiet of a week that has been building towards something, a different kind. The kind that comes after weather passes and the air is cold and still and everything smells like what the storm left behind. He picks up the supply log. He goes to work. At 12:38 on the way back from the east antechamber walkthrough, Eli turns the corner into the main corridor and nearly walks directly into Darius Kingsley for the second time in 48 hours. Darius steadies him. Both hands briefly on Eli's shoulders. Then they drop. They stand in the corridor looking at each other. Documentation is with Darnell, Darius says. I know, it's going to take time, she'll fight it. I know that too. Darius is quiet for a moment. He looks like a man who slept 3 hours and does not regret any of the hours he spent not sleeping. Personal document, he says. The one from Wednesday night. Lee waits. Want you to know that I read it as what it was, Darius says. Not as evidence, as what actually happened to you. Those are two different things and I am not going to treat them the same. Something in Eli's chest breaks open very quietly. He does not let it show. He is too trained not to let it show. But it opens like a window that has been painted shut for years and someone finally found the right angle, and the air that comes through it is cold and startling and exactly what the room needed. Thank you, he says. It is barely enough. It is not remotely enough. But it is what he has in this corridor right now, and Darius receives it like it is exactly sufficient. They stand there for one more second. Then Eli steps around him and continues down the hall, and Darius watches him go, and neither of them says another word. 6 weeks later, on a Thursday morning in early December, Eli Monroe is standing at the East Hall console table polishing the last piece of silver on his list when he hears footsteps on the main staircase. He knows those footsteps. He has known them for 7 months and 10 days before this morning. The particular weight, the particular pace, the way they carry through marble without hurrying. Darius stops at the entrance to the East Hallway. He is in a sweater today, not a suit. It is the first time Eli has seen him in something without a jacket and a tie and the full formal weight of the company he carries everywhere. And the effect of it is something Eli is not prepared for. He looks younger and warmer and more like a person than a position. You have a meeting at 9, Eli says. I moved it, Darius says. Eli sets down the cloth. The board approved the new employment protections for domestic Omega staff across all Kingsley properties, Darius says. It went through yesterday evening. Yolanda will be sending the updated contracts to all staff by end of week. Lee looks at him. He has heard about the review process. Donnell Cross has kept him informed at every step. He did not know it was finished. Okay, he says. It's not just a contract change, Darius says. There's a reporting structure now, independent, not routed through any household authority. If anyone in a Kingsley property experiences what you experienced, they have somewhere to go that cannot be redirected by the people above them. Lee is quiet. You didn't have to do that, he says. I know I didn't, Darius says simply. I did it anyway. They look at each other across the hallway. The morning light is coming in clear today. No grey, just clean December light that makes everything in the East Wing look like it is exactly itself. No more, no less. Eli has been here for 9 months and 10 days. He has polished the silver 141 times. He has logged more room entries than he can count and photographed more completed tasks than he ever expected to need and written one document at midnight that changed the shape of things in ways he is still understanding. He is still the Omega Maid in the 3rd floor section. His uniform is still black and fitted and pressed and perfect every morning, but the house feels different. Not because Cassandra is gone, though she is, the formal complaint still moving through proceedings, her lawyer's meeting with Darnell, the outcome still not fully resolved but the direction of it already settled in the ways that matter. Not only because of that, the house feels different because Eli is different inside it. He has stopped moving through these rooms like he is made of marble. He has stopped performing invisible. He takes up space now in a way that is quiet and undramatic and completely his own, and nobody in Kingsley Estate, not one person on the staff or above it, has given him a single reason to go back to the way he was before. I want to ask you something, Darius says. You can ask, Eli says. A pause. Darius looks at the silver on the console table, then he looks at Eli. Job you're doing here, he says. Is it still what you want to be doing? The question is careful and loaded in a way that Eli decides to receive on its surface first before he looks at what is underneath it. I'm good at it, he says. I know you are. Darius is quiet for a moment. That's not what I asked. Lee looks at him. The hallway is still. The house is waking up around them, the kitchen below, the staff on the upper floors, the sound of Maryland winter outside the windows, and in the middle of all of it Darius Kingsley is standing in a sweater asking Eli Monroe what he actually wants. And the question is so direct and so simply meant that Eli does not have a single wall left to put in front of it. I don't know yet, he says. It is the most honest thing he has said to anyone in years. Darius nods. Okay, he says. And then, when you figure it out, tell me. He turns and goes back toward the main staircase. He takes the steps without hurrying. At the landing he pauses, one hand on the rail, and he looks back at Eli one more time. Silver looks good, he says. It always looks good, Eli says. Something shifts in Darius's face. Not a smile exactly. Closer to the thing that comes just before a smile, the thing that means the same thing without going all the way. Then he goes up. Eli turns back to the console table. He picks up the polishing cloth. He looks at the candle holder, the one that has a history now, the one that has been touched by more people and more intentions than a piece of silver should ever have to hold, and he polishes it one more time, slow and thorough, until every surface of it shows him back to himself. Clean, exact, still here. He does not know what comes next. He does not know how the proceedings end, or what Cassandra Blake does when she has run out of patience for the first time in her life, or what the question Darius Kingsley just asked him in a hallway on a Thursday morning is actually pointing toward. He does not know any of it. He holds all of it the way you hold something new, carefully, without gripping, with enough room for it to be what it actually is instead of what fear tells you it might be. What he knows is this hallway, this silver. This morning, the way the December light comes in through that window and lands on the floor in a clean, flat rectangle that does not ask anything from anyone, he knows he is still standing. That is enough for today, and if you've made it to the end of this story, you already know this is not where Eli's journey stops. This is where it actually begins. The fight for his truth, the question Darius left hanging on that staircase landing, and what Cassandra Blake does next, none of it is finished. The next chapter of this story is coming, and you do not want to be the person who misses it. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on your notifications so you are the first one there when it drops. And before you go, leave a comment below. Do you believe Darius's feelings for Eli are only just beginning, or has he been holding something back this entire time? Tell us what you think. Your thoughts in that comment section do more than you know. They inspire every person who reads them, and they tell us exactly the kind of stories you need us to keep making. Share this with someone who needs a story that reminds them what it looks like to stop being invisible. We will see you in the next one.